Something I need to tell you before you continue listening. And I need you to listen with an open heart and not just with your ears. Because what I'm going to share with you today is not a magic formula. It's not a cheap motivational trick. It's not one of those empty promises that repeat themselves on the internet like a soulless echo. What I'm going to tell you today is something that I myself had to learn in the darkest moments of my life, when money wasn't enough, when debts piled up like black clouds over my head, when every morning I woke up with that pressure in my chest that only those who have felt the weight of not having enough know. No. If you were here, if something brought you to hear these words, you probably also know that feeling, that silent anguish that won't let you sleep, that knot in your stomach. Every time a bill arrives, that shame you feel when you have to say, I can't or I don't have enough. I understand you. I understand you more than you can imagine. And that's why I need you to stay, take a deep breath, and allow these words to sink in where they need to sink in. Look, I grew up in a home where money was always a difficult subject. We weren't poor in spirit, but we were poor in pocketbook. My father worked from before dawn until after dark, and still many nights, dinner was more silence than food he'd taken it. I would look at his chapped hands, his back hunched over with fatigue, and I promised myself that someday things would be different. But life has a funny way of teaching us that the we make to ourselves as children aren't fulfilled just by wishing for them. It takes something more. Something that goes beyond physical effort, beyond strategy, beyond what any financial textbook can teach you. And that something, my dear friend, is the deep connection between your recipient and the source of all abundance. Because let me tell you something that very few dare to say out loud. Wealth doesn't start in your bank account. Wealth begins in your mind, in your heart, in that sacred space where your thoughts become words and your words become reality. There is immense power in the words we speak. A power that science is only just beginning to understand, but that the world's oldest traditions have known about for millennia. Bubatano. Think for a moment about a seed, a tiny seed that fits in the palm of your hand. With a worldly view, it's really nothing at all. It is insignificant. You could step on it unknowingly. But inside that seed is an entire oak tree. There is an entire forest waiting to be born. All it needs is fertile soil, water, and time. Your words are seeds. Every sentence you speak, every statement you make about your life, about your future, about your financial situation is a seed that you are planting in the soil of your existence. And here comes the question that should make you shudder. What kind of seeds have you been planting? Because many of us, without realizing it, have spent entire years planting seeds of scarcity. I can never have enough. Money is not for people like me. I always fail. I am destined to be poor. Each one of those phrases is a poisonous seed that you have been in your soil. And then you wonder, why doesn't your garden bloom? It's not that life is unfair to you, it's that you have been watering weeds thinking they were flowers. But today, right now, at this very moment, something can change. And not because I have some special power to change it, but because you are going to make the most important decision of your financial life. You are going to change the seeds that you plant. You are going to replace every word of scarcity with a statement of abundance. You are going to stop speaking to your life from fear, and you are going to start speaking to it from faith. I remember a time when I owed more than I earned in an entire year. Bills from debt collectors were the soundtrack to my days. Every time the phone rang, my heart raced. I lived in a constant state of survival, like a honored animal that only thinks about the next hit. Then, amidst the despair, someone's words changed everything. He told me, Yokoi, the problem is not how much you owe. The problem is who you think you are. Those words hit me like a bolt of lightning because he was right. I had defined myself by my debts, by my failures, by my limitations. I had become my problem instead of the solution. That day I understood that prayer is not an empty religious act. Prayer is the most powerful act of mental and spiritual reprogramming that exists. When you pray, when you declare with the conviction and faith, you're not simply moving your lips, you are sending a signal to the universe with the frequency of abundance. You are activating invisible mechanisms that operate in dimensions that your eyes cannot see, but that your life can feel. Modern science calls it neuroplasticity. The spiritual traditions call it faith. Eastern masters call it intention. Ancient sages call it the power of the word. It doesn't matter what you call it. What matters is that it works somewhere. And it works not because it's magic, but because it's the most fundamental law of the universe. What you sow, that's what you reap. What you declare, that's what you manifest. What you believe deep down inside, that's what materializes into your reality. Now, when I talk about receiving money in 7 days, I'm not selling you a mirage. I'm talking about a principle that I've seen work over and over and over again. But I need you to understand something crucial. 7 days is not a magical time frame. 7 days are a symbol. In many traditions, Meshavan represents completeness, perfection, a full cycle. God created the world in 7 days. Joshua marched around Jericho for 7 days. Naaman dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan River. The number 7 is no coincidence. It's a reminder that there are cycles in life, and when you align yourself with the right cycle, walls come down. Waters part, the impossible becomes possible. But this is where most people fail. This is where 90% of people give up because they hear the promise and get excited, but they're not willing to do the inner work that's required. They want the harvest without the sowing. They want the fruit without the root. They want wealth without the transformation. And that, my friend, simply does not exist. Abundance does not come empty-handed. Abundance comes to prepared hearts. So what does it mean to prepare your heart for abundance? It means, first of all, letting go. Letting go of the resentment toward money, or letting go of the guilt that you feel for wanting prosperity. Letting go of the toxic belief that being a good person means being poor. That is one of the most destructive lies that has infiltrated our culture. The idea that spirituality and prosperity are enemies is far from the truth. The most spiritual trees are the ones that bear the most fruit. The sun doesn't apologize for shining. The ocean doesn't apologize for being immense. You don't have to apologize for wanting to live in abundance. I traveled to many countries. I got to know many cultures. And in all of them, I found the same pattern. People who live in true abundance are not those who work the hardest physically. They are those whose minds are most aligned with prosperity. In Japan, I met entrepreneurs who began each day with a prayer of gratitude. They weren't asking for more. They appreciated what they already had. And that gratitude, that energy of recognition acted like a bronchmagnet to bring more. In Colombia, I met farmers who very little in material terms, lived with an inner wealth that many millionaires would envy. And their secret was simple. They spoke well of their lives. They didn't curse their poverty. They blessed their present and declared a better future. There is a Japanese proverb that says that words have a spirit. They call it korodama, the spirit of words. Every word you speak carries within it an energy that can create or destroy, that can open or close doors, that can attract wealth or scare away. When you say, I am poor, you are not describing a situation. You are issuing a decree. You are signing a contract with the universe that says, I accept poverty as my identity. But when you say abundance flows from me, when you say I am worthy of prosperity, when you say money comes into my life with ease and And grace, in grace, you are rewriting that contract. You are changing the new agreement. Battling with life. You are negotiating a new agreement with life. And don't get me wrong, I am not saying that it is enough to repeat nice phrases in front of the mirror. Well, that would be superficial and dishonest. What I am saying is that words are the first step in a much deeper process, doas. After words comes belief. After belief comes action. And after action comes manifestation. It is a chain. Break one link and the chain is broken. But when all the links are connected, when your words, your beliefs, and your actions are aligned, then what many call a miracle happens, but which is actually natural law. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met a woman in Bogota named Carmen. Carmen was 53 years old, had 3 children, and was drowning in debt. Her husband had left her. Her job barely provided enough to eat, and every night she cried silently so her children wouldn't hear her. Carmen had lost faith, not in God exactly, but in the possibility that her life could improve. She had resigned herself. And resignation, let me tell you, is the cemetery of dreams. When you resign yourself, you don't die physically, but you die inside. You become a ghost who walks among the living. One day, Carmen heard something that shook her. She heard that words have power. It wasn't the first time she had heard it, but this time it was different. This time she heard it with a broken heart. And it turns out that broken hearts are the ones that absorb the truth best. Carmen began to pray in a different way. She stopped asking God to take away her problems and began to declare that she had the strength to get through them. She stopped begging for money and began to be grateful for every penny she had. She shed the image of victim and embraced that of warrior. And you know what happened? Nothing happened. At least not right away. The first 3 days, everything remained the same. The debts were still there. The work was still insufficient. The problems did not magically disappear, and that is when most would have said, see, it doesn't work. It's a lie. But Carmen did not stop. She kept praying. She kept declaring. She kept believing. And on the 4th day, something changed. It was not something external. It was something internal. Carmen woke up with an idea she had never had before, an idea to sell empanada on the corner of her neighborhood with a recipe that her grandmother had taught her as a child. Many would say that this is not a miracle, that it is just an idea. But I ask you, where do ideas come from? Where does that spark come from that appears just when you need it? Is it coincidence or is it a response? Carmen made her first empanadas with the last pesos she had. She sold them all in 2 hours. The next day she made double miyama, and they were also sold out. Within a week, Carmen was making more money with her empanadas than she did at her regular job. Within a month, her neighbors were looking for her. Within 3 months, a restaurant asked her to be their supplier. Within a year, Carmen had her own business. But the point is not the business. The point is the seed. The point is that Carmen changed her words. And by changing her words, she changed her frequency. And by changing her frequency, she changed her perception. And by changing her perception, she saw an opportunity that had always been there, but that her eyes, clouded by desperation, could not see. The money did not fall from the sky, but the opportunity to generate it, it was revealed when her mind opened. And her mind opened when her words changed. And her words changed when she decided to pray differently. This is what I want you to deeply understand. Praying for prosperity is not an act of greed. It is an act of faith. It is telling the universe, God, life, whatever you want to call it, that you believe you deserve to live well, that you believe Your family deserves to have enough, that you believe abundance is not a privilege for a few, but a universal right that is activated when you align with it. And now I am going to share with you the words that you need to pronounce, not as an empty ritual, but as a konsyahar felt statement born from the depth of your being, panangin. When you hear these words, I want you to not only hear them, I want you to feel them. I want you to feel them vibrating in your chest. I want you to make them yours. I want them to become your daily mantra, your first prayer in the morning and your last declaration at night. I declare that abundance is my natural right. I was not created for scarcity. I was not designed for lack. I was formed from the same material that stars are made of. And the stars know no poverty. Every cell in my body vibrates at the frequency of prosperity. Every thought I emit is an invitation for wealth to enter my life. I am not afraid of money. I do not envy those who have more. I feel no guilt for desiring a full and abundant life. I declare that closed doors open before me. Blocked paths are clear and the opportunities I need are already in motion coming my way with each passing second. Hey. I declare that my mind is fertile, my hands productive, and my spirit unbreakable. I declare that money flows to me as naturally as a river flows to the sea. I do not chase it desperately, I attract it. With confidence, I do not beg for it. I receive it with dignity. I declare that in these 7 days, something is activated in my life. I don't know precisely how he'll arrive or which door he'll enter. I do not know what form it will take, but I know with a certainty that surpasses all logic that provision is on the way, that heaven has not forgotten me, that my name is written in the book of abundance, and that my turn to receive has come. I declare that I let go of all worry, that I release all anxiety about money, that I stop living as if scarcity is my permanent destiny. Today I choose to believe. Today I choose to trust. Today I choose to walk as someone who knows that provision was already authorized before I needed it. Now, after hearing these statements, I need you to understand the most important step of all. And it's a step that seems counterintuitive, but it's absolutely essential. You have to give. Yes, you read that right. You have to give. Because abundance doesn't work like a one-way street. Abundance is a cycle. It's like breathing. If you only inhale and never exhale, you suffocate. If you only receive and never give, the flow stagnates. And I'm not necessarily talking about giving money here, although if you can, do that, do that. I'm talking about giving your time, your attention, your smile, your knowledge, your support, every act of generosity. Every act of generosity, no matter how small, it sends a powerful message to the universe. I have enough to share. And when you say, I have enough, the universe responds, so here's more. In Japan, there's a concept that left a deep impression on me. It's called okaeji. It's the idea that when you receive something, you should return something of equal or greater value, not out of obligation, but out of balance. Life is constantly seeking balance. When you give, you create a positive imbalance that life takes care of compensating for. It's not magic. It's physical, spiritual. It's Newton's third law applied to the soul. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I know people who earn a lot of money but live in emotional poverty. Their accounts are full, but their hearts are empty. They have properties, but no peace. They have investments, but no purpose. That's not wealth. That's meaningless accumulation. True wealth, the one I want for you, is holistic. It's having enough money to live with dignity and peace, but also having the health to enjoy it, relationships to share it, and purpose to multiply it. A tale from ancient times recounts the story of a man who found a magical lamp. The genie granted him a wish, and the man asked for all the gold in the world. Instantly, mountains of gold appeared around him, but the gold so heavy that it sank his house. The mountains of gold blocked his doors and windows. He couldn't go out. He couldn't eat. He was surrounded by wealth and starving to death. The moral of the story is not that gold is bad. The moral is that abundance without wisdom becomes a prison. So when you pray for prosperity, don't just ask for money. Ask for wisdom to handle it. Ask for discernment to invest it. Ask for generosity to share it. Ask for humility so you don't get lost in it. Money is an amplifier. If you're a good person, money allows you to do more good. If you're selfish, money amplifies your selfishness. Money doesn't change anyone. It reveals who you really are. I want you to think for a moment about water. Water that flows, that moves, that runs through rivers. It's clean, fresh water, full of life. But water that stagnates, that sits still in a puddle, rots, fills with mosquitoes, and becomes toxic. Your money is like water. It needs to move. It needs to come and go. It needs to. When you hold on to money out of fear, when you hoard it compulsively, when you hold on to every penny like it's your last, you're creating a stagnant pool and stagnant pool. And stagnant pools don't attract more water. They attract disease. But when you allow money to flow, when you pay with gratitude instead of pain, when you invest with trust instead of fear, when you give with joy instead of resentment, you are creating a river. And rivers are always feeding from new sources. They're always growing. They're always moving forward. I now want to tell you about something rarely mentioned when the subject of prosperity comes up: forgiveness. Yes, forgiveness. Because you can pray the most powerful prayers in the world. You can declare abundance morning, noon, and night. But if your heart is full of resentment, you're praying with a blocked channel parabona. It's like trying to fill a glass that has a hole in the bottom. Even adding endless water still won't fill it. Who do you need to forgive? That partner who scammed you? That family member who stole from you? That company that unfairly fired you? That government that failed to keep its promises? Yourself for the bad decisions you made? Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is the act of letting go of the so that binds you to the past so that you can walk freely into the future. Until you forgive, your energy is divided. Part of you wants to move forward, but another part is anchored in yesterday's pain. And you can't run toward abundance with your feet chained to resentment. I myself had to forgive. I had to forgive people who hurt me financially, people who abused my trust, people who made promises to me and didn't deliver. And it wasn't easy. Forgiveness is never easy, but it was necessary because every time I thought about them with anger, I was wasting energy that could have been used to create something new. Every minute of resentment is a minute stolen from creativity, from innovation, from abundance. There is another dimension that we need to explore, and that is the dimension of, because prayer without action is fantasy, and action without prayer is empty effort. The two must go together, like the two wings of a bird. A bird with only one wing cannot fly, no matter how strong that wing is. You need both, the faith that declares and the hand that works. In Japanese culture, there is a concept called ikigai. It is the reason why you get up every morning. It is the intersection of what you love, what the world needs, what you can do well, and what you can get paid for. When you find your ikigai, work ceases to be work. It becomes expression. It becomes service. It becomes the most natural way to generate abundance. Many people look for money in the wrong places. They look for the highest paying job instead of the job that fulfills them the most. They chase the salary instead of the purpose and end up making money but losing their soul. True prosperity comes when you align your calling with your profession, when you do what you love in the service of others, when your work is not just an exchange of time for money, but a genuine contribution to the world. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract money effortlessly? It's not luck. It's not heredity. It's not systemic injustice. It's alignment. They're doing the right thing at the right time with the right attitude. They found that sweet spot where their passion meets a real need in the marketplace. And when that happens, money isn't the goal. It's the natural consequence of doing things right. Think about the great entrepreneurs you admire, the ones who have truly made a difference. They didn't start out thinking about money. They started out thinking about a problem they wanted to solve. Steve Jobs didn't invent the iPhone to get rich. He wanted to make technology accessible to everyone. And wealth came as a result of solving a real problem for millions of people. You don't need to invent the next iPhone. You just need to find a problem that you can solve better than anyone else in your immediate environment. It could be something as simple as making the best empanadas in the neighborhood like Carmen, or it could be something more complex. The size of the problem doesn't matter. What matters is the passion and excellence with which you solve it. Now, let me tell you about the enemies of abundance, because just as there are forces that propel you toward prosperity, there are forces that pull you towards scarcity. And you need to know them in order to combat them. The first enemy is envy. When you envy what someone else has, you are sending a message to the universe that says, I can't have that. Envy is a statement of impossibility. It is admitting that someone else's abundance is unattainable for you. In fact, someone else's abundance doesn't diminish your own. The universe does not have a limited budget. Your neighbor's success doesn't mean your share got smaller. On the contrary, the prosperity of those around you is evidence that abundance is possible in your environment. If they could do it, so can you. The second enemy is complaining. Complaining is inverted prayer. Every time you complain, you are praying for more problems. You are focusing all your energy on what is not working, and the energy goes where the tension goes. If you spend your day complaining about the economy, about your bosses, prices, about your salary, you are feeding with your own energy the very circumstances you do not you do not want. It is like pouring gasoline on a fire and complaining about the heat. The third enemy is impatience. And this is perhaps the most insidious of all, because we live in an age of immediacy. We want everything yesterday. We order food and get frustrated, and it takes 15 minutes. We send a text and get distressed if they don't respond in 5 minutes. And then when we pray for prosperity and don't see results in 24 hours, we declare that it is not working. But tell me, have you ever planted a tree and yelled at it for not bearing fruit the next day? Have you ever pulled the roots out of a plant to see if it was growing? That is exactly what you do when you get desperate. You pull the roots out of your own seed. Patience is not passivity. Patience is active trust. It is to continue watering when you still don't see buds. It's about continuing to believe when there's no evidence yet. To go on walking even when you cannot see the goal yet. Patience is the most difficult act of faith there is, but it's also the most powerful. The fourth enemy is the victim mentality. It's because I was born poor, because my country has no opportunities, because the economy is failing, because I got no education. Each of these phrases is an excuse disguised as an explanation. And excuses are the bricks with which you build the prison of your own mediocrity. I'm not denying that real difficulties exist. Of course they do. But the question is not whether there are obstacles. The question is, what do you do with them? Do you use them as stepping stones or as excuses? Do you turn them into teachers or jailers? I know people who were born in Igahasala and today live in abundance. And I know people who were born with every advantage and today live in misery. The difference is not in the circumstances. The difference is in the mentality. And mindsets can be changed. They can be reprogrammed. They can be transformed. And prayer is the most powerful reprogramming tool there is. I want you to do something with me right now. I want you to close your eyes, if you can do it safely, and imagine yourself a year from now. Picture yourself with all your debts paid off. Picture yourself opening your bank statement and smiling for the first time in a long time. Picture yourself taking your family out to dinner without having to look at the prices on the menu. Picture yourself buying that pair of shoes you need without feeling guilty. Picture yourself sleeping peacefully without that pressure in your chest, without that anxiety that wakes you up at 3 in the morning. You can see it. You can feel it. That image you just created in your mind is not fantasy. It is a prophecy. It is your future calling to you from the other side of the bridge. But to cross that bridge, you need to take the first step. And the first step is this. Change your financial vocabulary. Starting today, eliminate the words can't, don't have, and can't, amang koreng, from your dictionary. Replace them with, I am on my way. Abundance is coming. Every day I am closer to my prosperity. You are not lying. You are declaring. You are prophesying. You are sowing with your mouth what you want to reap with your hands. The second step is to surround yourself with people who think in abundance. If your 5 closer friends constantly complain about money, you will be the zikas, one who complains. If your 5 closest friends talk about opportunities, investments, growth, you will be the seek, one who prospers. We are the average of the people we spend the most time with. Choose your circle wisely. The third step is to educate yourself financially. Prayer opens doors, but knowledge teaches you how to walk through them. Learn about personal finance, learn about investing, learn about entrepreneurship. You don't need a college degree for this. Lots of books, videos, and free courses available. The information is available. You just need the discipline to seek it and the humility to learn. The fourth step is to take action. Take action even when you are afraid. Take action even when you don't have all the answers. Take action even when the path is not completely clear. Imperfect action is always better than paralyzed perfection. Many are waiting for the perfect moment to begin. The perfect moment is now. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not when conditions improve. Now, with what you have, where you are. And the fifth step, perhaps the most important of all, is to maintain gratitude as your natural state. Not as an exercise that you do once in a while. As your business state, be grateful when you receive, but also be grateful when you don't receive, because in absence, there is also a lesson. Be grateful for the problem, because the problem is the announcement of the solution. Be grateful for the crisis, because the crisis is the door disguised as a wall. I learned to be grateful in my most difficult moments. And it was in those moments that abundance began to move towards me. Not because God was waiting for my gratitude to act, but because my gratitude changed my perspective. And by changing my perspective, I was able to see paths that were previously invisible to me. You see, there is something that happens in the brain when you practice gratitude consistently. Neuroscientists have documented this extensively. Gratitude activates the brain's reward system. It releases dopamine and serotonin. It reduces cortisol, which is the stress hormone. In other words, when you give thanks, your brain literally changes its chemistry. And when your brain chemistry changes, your ability to see opportunities, to make good decisions, to take clear action is multiplied exponentially. Gratitude is not only good for the soul, it's good for business. I want to share with you something that I do every single morning without fail. Before I get out of bed, before I check my phone, before I think about the task of the day, I sit still and say out loud 3 things that I'm grateful for. Sometimes they're big things, my family, my health, my job. Other times they're small things, a hot coffee waiting for me, the sunlight streaming through the window, the silence of the morning. And after those 3 gratitudes, I make a declaration of abundance. Something simple and powerful. Something simple and powerful. Today is a day of provision. Today what I need is coming. Today I am open to receiving. This ritual takes me less than 2 minutes, but it has transformed my days in ways that I can logically explain. Since I started doing it, opportunities appear more frequently. Ideas flow more easily. The right people come into my life at just the right time. I'm not saying that every day is perfect. I'm saying that every day has a purpose. And when you live with purpose, abundance follows you instead of you following it. There's something else I need to tell you. And it's probably the most countercultural thing you'll hear today. Don't be afraid of money. In many traditions, we were taught that money is dirty, that money corrupts, that money is the root of all evil, but that distortion. The original quote says that the love of money is the root of all evil. Not money itself. Money is neutral. It's energy. It's a tool. A hammer can build a house or destroy a window. The problem is never the hammer. The problem is the hand that holds it. When you're afraid of money, you unconsciously repel it. It's like wanting water but being afraid of the glass. Money needs to feel welcome in your life. It needs you to receive it with gratitude, to handle it responsibly, to use it with purpose. When you do that, money not only comes, it stays. And it doesn't just stay, it multiplies. Think of the most generous people you know. Haven't you noticed that they are often also the most prosperous? It's no coincidence. Generosity creates a vacuum that abundance rushes in to fill. It's like opening a window in a closed room. Fresh air rushes in because nature abhors a vacuum. Your generosity creates the vacuum. The abundance of the universe fills it. Now I want to talk about something that few people mention: consistency. Because the problem with many is not that they don't pray and emet bayrum. The problem is that the permanent results. Prayer for abundance is not an event, it's a lifestyle. It's not something you do when you're in a crisis. It's something you do every day, in good times and bad. It's like working out. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be in shape forever. You go consistently, day after day, week after week, and over time. The results will manifest in your abundance declaration should be daily. Your gratitude should be daily. Your action towards your financial goals should be daily. Not big actions, small steps, but consistent ones. One small step each day will take you further than one giant leap once a year. Consistency is the mother of mastery, and mastery is the mother of abundance. Let me close with something that has been close to my heart for many years. When I was young, I asked a wise old man what the secret to wealth was. I expected him to talk about investing, business, financial strategies, but what he told me was much simpler and much more profound. He told me, the secret to wealth is understanding that you are already rich. You won't be rich when you have more money. You are rich now with what you have, with who you are, with what you can give. The day you understand that, money will stop being a problem and will become a resource. Those words changed my life, and I hope they change yours today. You are not poor. You are a wealthy person in the process of manifestation. Abundance is not something you have to look for outside outward. It is something you have to awaken within. And every word you have heard today is an alarm clock. Every statement is a sunrise. Every prayer is a door that opens. In these 7 days, something is going to change. Maybe not in the way you expect. Maybe not in the amount you imagine. But something is going to move in your life. An idea will come. An opportunity will appear. A door will open. A person will cross your path, not as a coupon, He responds as an echo of the words you planted. Today, in the fertile soil of your faith, in the fertile soil of your, I believe in you. I believe in your ability to transform your financial life. I believe that abundance belongs to you. I believe that you deserve to live without the anguish of money. I think your children deserve to see their parents at peace. I believe that your dreams deserve financing. I believe that your work deserves reward. And I believe that these words spoken with a faith listened to with an open heart, and accompanied by consistent action have the power to activate a cycle of prosperity in your life that has no expiration date. You did not hear this by chance. You did not arrive here by accident. There is a reason why these words found your ears right today, right now, right at this moment in your life. Trust that. Trust the process. Trust yourself, and most of all, trust that the source of all abundance has not forgotten you. Your name is on the list. Your turn is coming. Your moment is now. Take a deep breath. Let go of worry and repeat with me, silently or out loud, as you wish. I am abundance. I am prosperity. I am worthy of wealth, and wealth is coming to me now. With every beat of my heart, with every breathing, with every step I take, abundance accompanies me. Abundance surrounds me. Abundance defines me. Not by what I have in the bank, but by what I carry in my soul. And what I carry in my soul is unwavering, inexhaustible, infinite, like the sea, like the sky, like the promise that never expires, that all who sow with faith will reap abundantly. This does not end here. This is just the beginning. The next 7 days are your sowing field. Every morning, declare. Every afternoon, act. Every night, be grateful. And when the 7th day arrives, do not be surprised by what you find. Do not be surprised when provision knocks on your door in ways you never imagined, because that is how the law of sowing and reaping works. Silent but infallible, invisible, but inevitable like gravity. You do not see it, but it sustains you. You do not fully understand it, but you trust it every time you take a step. Take that step today, the first of many, and walk with the absolute certainty that abundance is not a destination you will arrive at. It is a path on which you already are. You just needed someone to remind you. And ta-da! In these words, in this statement, you found that reminder. Wealth awaits you, not at the end of the road. At each step of the way, open the door, invite it in, and prepare to receive what was almost yours, but that fear, doubt, and this mentality had prevented you from seeing. Today, the blinders fall off. Today, your eyes open. Say, today, your era of abundance begins, and no one, absolutely no one, can stop what the universe has decided to give you.